This is Debbie Kay with the League of Women Voters of Portland, and you are watching Video Voters Guide. We're in the studios of MetroEast Community Media in Gresham, and we are talking with candidates running in the November 2018 general election. We've invited all the candidates who are running for this position. We urge voters to look at the League of Women Voters of Oregon website, and especially to use the League's vote411.org site for comprehensive coverage. Candidates might choose to include more information about their candidacy, including their YouTube videos. With me today is Jennifer McGuirk, running for Multnomah County Auditor. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Tell us, why do you want to be the Multnomah County Auditor?
Well, you know, I've been a performance auditor at the county since 2012, and in 2016, I noticed some issues going on in the county that I felt we should have been auditing and we weren't. A use of force report came out from the sheriff's office that found in our jails there was disproportionate use of force against people of color. And there were also lots of structural issues going on in the sheriff's office at that time. And our office didn't go in and examine those issues. That spurred me into thinking, well, if I want us to go looking into these issues, maybe I have to run to get those issues looked into. The core of the county is really focused on health, public safety, and social services. And so if elected, I will prioritize audits of those areas that are really impacting people's daily lives. And I think that we can do that in a way that looks also at how our vulnerable populations are affected by the services they receive, and are they able to access services when they need them, as well as making sure our community is really aware of the work the auditor's office is doing so they can hold us accountable as we hold the other arms of county government accountable.
Thank you. So you've laid out 3 central areas for the county. What criteria should be used in choosing programs to audit, and who should be consulted?
I think we should look first at the county's mission, which is to help people and serve people. Traditionally, auditors really have focused on the biggest financial impacts, so the programs that have the largest budgets. And I think taxpayer dollars and how they're spent is very important, but so are the people who are benefiting from our services. And I think we need to consider how many vulnerable people are impacted by programs. So I always want to have those health and safety considerations be part of the audit evaluation criteria for what we're going to look at. And I also think that given that these are all taxpayer dollars, we need to involve residents, providers of the services, as well as people receiving services, in helping to set those larger agenda frameworks for what we're going to audit. So it can be a community conversation, and it can also be based in rigorous analyses of who we're serving and the dollars we're spending.
Thank you. What measures should the auditor take to make audits and agency responses to audits available to the public?
Well, you know, the county charter requires that for every audit we do, we present the findings to the Board of County Commissioners. And for those presentations, we always invite the auditees to the program that we evaluated. But I think we need to do more than that. We also always put the reports online and can provide printed out materials to people upon request. But going further, I'd like to see us working with media, going out to different community groups who may be particularly impacted by the issue we examined, and sharing our findings with them. Because sometimes it takes that community pressure to help make change as well. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important that we get the information out to as many people in the county as we can to help people have a common understanding of the issues and help lead to change that will improve government.
Thank you. How would you prioritize your efforts for the audit function to produce maximum improvement in local government?
I think one of the things that we can do is to build on work that's already been done. So when I announced my candidacy in July of 2017, I announced it with a slate of programs that I said, I will start these my first year. And one of them is an audit of jail conditions. In addition to that 2016 report I mentioned of disproportionate use of force against people of color, Disability Rights Oregon has issued a couple of reports as to what conditions are like for people in the jails who are in mental health crises. And those reports included recommendations that the sheriff and the county chair both said they want to work toward. And so it gives our office an opportunity to see what progress has been made and what else needs to happen going forward. I think it's really important for our office to do it because the auditor is independent, elected by the public, and our staff can go in and dig into these issues without fear of retaliation, whereas others who don't have that independence might not have that safeguard. I also pledged that I would do an audit of our joint office of homeless services, which I think is really important because we're spending, $50-some million on that program every year, and we have audited it in our office, but we haven't done it from the perspective of people who are trying to access services. And we've heard anecdotal stories about how hard it can be to get into services when you need them related to housing and homelessness. So I think it's really important, if we're going to make sure we're getting good outcomes for the dollars we're putting in, to look at it from that perspective. And then I also want to look at the conditions going on in our homes for adult care facilities. So those homes care for seniors and people with disabilities. And we know that there's a statewide database that didn't have the most comprehensive information on what the actual conditions were in those homes. There's over 600 that contract with the county. I think we need to go in and see what's happening there.
Okay. You mentioned independence. What is the auditor function's relationship to the county authority structure?
So for the most part, we are independent. The auditor does not report to the chair or the commissioners, but that group does approve our budget every year. Mm-hmm. So our budget has been stable, which is great, and I think that's a testimony to the excellent work that our office does and agreement that groups typically have with their findings, even contentious ones, that we're working in the right direction. But our independence really comes from being elected by the people, focusing on serving the people, and then adhering to government auditing standards that say we need to have independence of mind. We can't enter into anything where we may be perceived as having a bias. And so that really, I think, helps us be very thoughtful about how we proceed in all of our activities, both in and out of the office.
Thank you for explaining that. We have about a minute left. What haven't you said that you would like to?
I think the other thing that, it's not an audit, but another thing that I pledged to start my first year is to better publicize our Good Government Hotline so that more people around the county know that it's a place they can report concerns about government fraud or waste or abusive resources. Mm-hmm. And it's a place where employees can also make calls. And along with that, over the past year or so, we've been hearing more and more about some really concerning issues around harassment and discrimination within the county of county employees. Mm-hmm. And so I will establish an organizational ombudsman at the county who can be a confidential resource for digging into those issues and can help employees really figure out how they want to resolve those issues and also help us see where we need to be auditing. If we're getting a lot of concerns from people in a particular department, that's a good indication we need to take a look there.
Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. That wraps up our time. This has been the Video Voters Guide. Thank you very much for watching. A reminder, the general election is Tuesday, November 6th, and your last day to register to vote is October 16th. Be sure to inform yourself about the candidates and ballot measures, exercise your right to vote, and remind your family and friends to do the same. This is Debbie Kay with the League of Women Voters of Portland. Thank you.